Hi all, welcome back to Tree Talk. We are here today to talk about what's going on with the fall color as well as Smokey Bear's birthday and fire in Ohio, so stay tuned. Welcome to Tree Talk. I'm Jamie Dahl with Central State University Extension, and I'm excited to be here with Greg.Smith with the Division of Forestry, which is part of the Ohio Department of Natural Resources. And Greg's going to talk to us about a few different topics, but one of which that we're going to start with is the fall color. So welcome, Greg.
Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, so Greg, before we get started on fall color, could you just tell us a little bit about your role with the Division of Forestry?
Okay. I work as the Information and Education Administrator for the Division of Forestry out of Chillicothe office, but I cover the entire state. And a lot of my responsibilities have to do with educating the public. So one of those tasks is I edit the Ohio Woodland Journal for the Ohio Tree Farm System. And this is a publication that comes out quarterly. It has articles on forest management that various authors contribute to, wildlife management, and just general articles of interest to landowners. So that's an important thing for the tree farm system and the Ohio forest industry, foresters, and anybody who wants to subscribe to the magazine. That's a big part of what I do. I also do public records requests. People are interested in what we're doing as a Division of Forestry, and some of them want some detailed information, so we go through the legal process and reviews for public records. I also arrange different events, such as Teacher Field Day in June, a two-day event that Dave Apsley helps with, actually. And we have the first day, we have a topic of resource management that the teachers can learn from, particular topic. Like this past year, we talked about the importance of oak, which is an important topic. We also have talked about reptiles and amphibians. We did birds this calendar year. And then the second day, we have a Project Learning Tree workshop. And Project Learning Tree is something Jamie and I are involved with in Ohio. And that's a series of lessons that teachers from K through 12 especially, and others can use to help educate their students about natural resources and trees, but using those topics as kind of a window to explore other topics such as political science or English or math, just using what we have naturally to educate. So awesome. That's a big program. Yeah. So involved with Project Learning Tree. Also, I set up displays and educational opportunities such as at the Ohio State Fair. The Department of Natural Resources has a very large display and park for all the different divisions, so folks can come and appreciate different topics, rocks and minerals, different parks things, butterflies, wildlife. But we have, in the Division of Forestry, we highlight fire. So we have a large Smokey bear that interacts with the public. We have displays on different tree species, and we show off a lot of our fire equipment and different projects we're working on. Also set up the Paul Bunyan Show, Farm Science Review, those which was this last weekend. Put on some field day events for, since we're in Pike County, we host all the 5th graders in Pike County for a forestry and wildlife field day at Pike Lake State Park, and the county commissioners help us with that, and we have different resource people that help the 5th graders. This was our 23rd year, so a lot of folks in Pike County have been through this program. and various programs like that.
Awesome. Thanks, Greg. So another member definitely of outreach and education team here in Ohio. And certainly Dave and I work with Greg a fair bit. So I think we have a quick slide we can reference too here. Just kind of, there was a lot of different information that Greg shared there, but quick reference here is a website for any folks out there, particularly landowners, but really even enthusiasts who might be interested, can check out this website and find out how you can also receive the publication that Greg puts out. And is that about quarterly, Greg?
It's quarterly, and you could get past issues off the website as well.
Okay, and that is if they are already, if they consider joining Tree Farm, they actually would get that publication as part of the Tree Farm system as well, right? Okay, awesome. Thanks, Greg. Well, with that, it seems like a good time to transition and discuss the fall color, which is, we finally had those temperatures drop, and I think we're starting to get in the fall spirit here in Ohio. So Greg, can you tell us a little bit about what it is that causes the leaves to change color in the fall?
Okay, so here we are at this time of year. That's one of the things I do. I'm one of the fall color foresters, so we try to promote folks getting out and enjoying the fall colors. So fall colors happen because in this part of the world we have deciduous trees, hardwood trees, and the function of the leaf is, of course, to produce food for the plant. It's a thin tissue, those leaves are, and they're very fragile. So what the tree wants to do is have that factory production of food for the tree, and then it will drop the leaf because of the hard winter. So those leaves won't freeze, that tissue won't freeze, and it protects the tree for the winter. It goes into hibernation of sorts. So the fall color, you have to kind of start with the green part. The green part is the chlorophyll. Chloro means green. So the chlorophyll is where photosynthesis occurs. All right, so as we know, the tree, the leaf there brings in water from the ground, and dirty air from the air goes through the little parts of the leaf there underneath, and then sunlight hits that, and it produces food for the tree and clean air for us. It stores that food, so the water moves up through the plant and then back down through the plant, so the tree has use of it. It'll store those carbohydrates that are made, and that's the dirty air that eventually turns into wood. So the tree's always producing that wood to help support the plant, and eventually we make use of that wood for wood products. So we all appreciate and enjoy this. So that's part of the cycle of the tree. But as the fall comes along, generally what triggers the change would be the longer nights. So as the longer nights start coming on in the fall, that chlorophyll will stop being produced. So the leaf has that green in it, but it also has a little bit of yellows and oranges in it. So the chlorophyll and then the carotenoids, think carrot, which is the orangish, yellowish color, that carotenoid is always present in the leaf. And so as the chlorophyll stops being produced, then that orange or yellow is starting to come through, show through. So that's one thing that you start seeing, is that change in the color. Then as we get more bright sunny days and cool nights, not freezing, but cooler nights, that helps stimulate the plant to produce some more sugars. So those sugars, the anthocyanins, are produced. That's another pigment that starts coming through. Those are the red colors. And so you have that interaction of some of the green that's left, some of the yellows and the oranges, and some of those reds. And then some leaves produce more things called tannins. You find those more in the oaks, and those are kind of the duller colors. All those colors interacting produce the wide variety of colors that we're going to see. So we want, ideally, we want a spring with lots of moisture, so the trees are doing well. a moderate summer, and a cool but not freezing fall with some bright sunshine.
Very nice. So, and we have a little slide that we had up there a little bit kind of showing some of those highlights. So given that, and I guess just to kind of recap, so definitely environmental factors at play, what kind of precipitation we've gotten, and probably the length of days also being a factor in there. So I guess I've seen some of the change starting, but of course it was so dry recently. What would you say, Greg, you kind of are expecting at this point for us to see in Ohio?
Okay, so I describe more ideal conditions. This year, as you know, we've had an extended warm season. Summer has stretched out longer, and so we've got the heat, and we also had a drought. So those factors play into this year's prediction. So that's extended the length of time the leaves are trying to produce more food, but without water, they're having a hard time. So some of that's reflected in some of the things we're seeing in the landscape, especially in an urban setting. You're seeing a lot of leaves kind of dry up and drop off. Mm-hmm. They're stressed. But the fall color, in general, has been delayed throughout the state. So with that long summer and the heat and lack of moisture, it's delaying our fall color season.
Okay, so maybe a delay, but still kind of yet to be determined, I guess, exactly what kind of a presentation we'll have here in Ohio.
So we'll see some. We have so many hardwood trees, over 125 native hardwood trees in Ohio. So that gives us a chance to see, a variety of colors. And also, as you drive around, there'll be pockets and areas where there's more moisture. Mm-hmm. Generally, in the woods, especially at kind of mid-slope to lower elevations, we're going to have more chance for moisture to be retained. Sometimes up on the ridges where it's higher, it may be a little bit drier, so we'll see more stressed trees there. But so as you drive around, you'll see pockets of good color. It may not be as widespread or as bright as we're used to, but it will be there. We'll have some nice fall color.
All right, and we do have one image if we want to show that. Okay, so this is some of what might be happening in other parts of the country as we're kind of waiting for what's going to happen here in Ohio. But just keep in mind that if you're traveling, there might be other areas where they're a little bit ahead of us, and that fall color is coming in Ohio. And I believe there was a website that you mentioned, Greg, where they can look at a map of that, right? I don't think we have a slide on it, but just. Was that on the divisions page?
Throughout the country? Mm-hmm. You could look up SmokeyMountain.com, I believe, or Smoky Mountains and Fall Color Report. And that's kind of how we help base our predictions on. The folks at the Smoky Mountain National Park, they study all the counties throughout the country and study the climate and the weather patterns, and so that helps us with the prediction. But in Ohio, we do have a site. ODNR has a site, and it's up there. It's fallcolor.ohiodnr.gov. And every week, we get information from state parks, state nature preserves, and state forests throughout the state. And it's their judgment as far as how those colors are progressing. So right now, if you were to look, every Wednesday it comes up, and this week we had a few areas that are still mostly green, but the rest of the state is classified as changing. Now, changing is a wide range, of just barely a little bit of color to, getting a little yellowish more in the colors. So after that comes near peak, peak, and after peak. Mm-hmm. But so you can track this throughout the state at the different ODNR facilities and get an idea where the colors are changing the best. You can also look on that site. It has suggested driving routes that you can check out some nice fall color. And it has events that are going on at a lot of the state parks. They have naturalist talks, or they have fall events that you can get out to and enjoy. And they also mention other areas that have events that we'll talk about for State Forest.
Okay, and you have a leaf right there, don't you, Greg? That was so case in point, where we are right now in Piketon, there isn't actually a whole lot changing right out here outside the building, but Greg did find one tree that was started there. What do you have there, Greg?
So this is an ornamental tree. It's a crabapple, and it's growing out in the yard here outside the building, exhibiting some stress, so it's going to change color a little bit earlier, and you can see some of the reds and some of the mixed colors. But what's going to happen is, as the color is changing, the leaf will slow down in production of food and start slowing down, and there'll be a layer that forms where the stem, we call the petiole of the leaf, goes into the stem. And as that abscission layer starts forming, it'll shut off flow of water to the leaf and food from the leaf, and eventually with the wind or with rain, that'll help propel the leaf to fall off the stem, okay? And that layer will help protect the stem for the winter.
Okay, so it's all preparing that tree to do better this winter as
That's
well.
right.
So it's not just about the beauty, yeah.
Right.
So so I think now seems like a good time let's go ahead and talk more about this fall color tour that's coming up, Greg. And I think we have a slide we can pull up for that. But yeah, please tell us about this big event on Saturday, October 26th.
All right, so we are hosting on Hocking State Forest. There's a state forest there, and then Hocking State Park is within the state forest. But Hocking State Forest is hosting a forestry fall color tour. And it's not just about looking at the beautiful fall colors. We want to get folks out to understand and appreciate our forests and the many uses we have in the state forest. So state forests are areas that are managed for the natural resource on a sustainable basis. So you can climb on a wagon tour and go around and see some forest practices that we use to promote the health and the vigor of the forest, and get wood products and have a forest that's healthy, growing, and continues for the future. And so all the many benefits of the forest for things we use, as well as the habitat for the wildlife, those are things that we'll be talking about. We'll also have demonstrations with some of our fire toys. We'll have a dozer and a fire truck. Kids can dress up in fire clothes. There's some games and a little bit of competition there for walking sticks, bean soup to enjoy, and some tree identification. There's a portable sawmill that'll be there. Lots of different things associated with trees and forests that you can come on out and enjoy. October 26th, 10 o'clock. We're located on State Route 374 there. It's Hocking State Forest, and you can make a day of it.
Awesome. And so there's more information on the website about that, right, Greg?
Correct.
And can folks come at so between 10 and 3, could they kind of come and go at any point
Right,
for
come
that
anytime.
event? Okay, and all ages are welcome?
It's like an open house kind of a thing, but
Okay.
From a forestry angle, and we want folks to understand and appreciate their forest resource.
Very cool. And there's no cost to just go
No
check
cost.
the event out, right?
Nope.
So awesome.
Bring
So
the family.
Hoping to bring my little family
There you go.
on over there. So very cool. Well, thanks, Greg. We really appreciated this
Great.
discussion about fall color and kind of what's to come this month. I know the sycamores are doing something right now, but for the most part, we're waiting on the rest of those trees to make some changes. So,
Right. The northern part of the state's going to start because of the longer nights, just the corner, and then the northern tier counties, probably late October. Central part of the state, the band from west to eastern Ohio through central Ohio, peak fall color probably the last week of October. We have 5 weeks this year.
Okay.
And then here in southern Ohio, particularly south central to southwest, that little block, that'll be first week of November, we think.
Kind of later. Okay.
That's our prediction.
Yeah. So, but this late October event is probably good timing to see some nice stuff and
some good color.
and probably a beautiful drive on your way out to
That's right.
the forest as well. So,
That's right.
All right, Greg. Well, thanks. And we're going to transition to another topic here and talk a little bit about what's going on with Smokey's birthday and fire in Ohio. So stay tuned.
All right.
Hi there, we're here for another segment of Tree Talk. I'm Jamie Dahl with Central State University Extension, and with me I have Greg.Smith with the Division of Forestry, and today we are going to be talking about a famous bear's birthday as well as what's going on with fire in Ohio. Hi, Greg.
All right.
So,
Smokey's 75 this year.
Yeah, tell us about this. Yeah.
So a lot of people know Smokey, and he's the wildfire prevention bear. Smokey started a long time ago as a poster campaign. Actually, during World War II, folks were getting concerned about possible fires starting on the West Coast from the enemy they were fighting, and so they started a wildfire prevention campaign through the USDA Forest Service. Then they started looking for a symbol for this. We had various symbols, but then they came up with a bear. Well, much later, in the 1940s, there was a big fire in New Mexico, and there was a real bear cub that was found after the fire, and they took care of the bear. They took him to the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., and he became very famous. He was put on posters, and that's really when the fire prevention campaign got going. So folks associate Smokey Bear with wildfire prevention, and he's been doing this for 75 years. He's very, very famous.
Wow. And so what are some of the things that are going on to celebrate Smokey Bear in Ohio?
Okay, well, we had the main celebration of Smokey's birthday at the State Fair this summer. So we had a birthday cake, we had the All Ohio State Youth Choir and the State Fair band come and play and sing happy birthday to Smokey, and we had various things going on at the State Fair. But we pretty much just continue his message and tell folks he has a big birthday. Please listen to him. Okay.
And so Smokey can kind of help us also then tell people about being careful with fire in Ohio. And so if I understand, there are some burn restrictions currently in Ohio. Is that right, Greg?
So we're in fire season right now. October, November is our fall fire season, and then we have a fire season in the spring. So one way to remember what the fire rules are for burning trash and debris and leaves and that kind of thing is don't burn during the day. So that's 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So don't burn during the day, March, April, and May. Always remember October, November. If you can remember that little ditty, that'll help you recall that. So there are reasons why we have that fire rule, not burning during the day. In the fall, where we are now, we have bright sunny days that trigger the fall colors, and we have leaves falling down. So the smaller fuels in the east are what carry wildfire. So you can imagine somebody has a burn pile or a burn barrel and a spark gets out. It doesn't take much for that spark to ignite those very dry leaves. All right, leaves and dead grasses, things that have cured over the summer, those are the main fuels. So fire can escape. And we do have, believe it or not, we have wildfires in Ohio. We have generally between 800 and 1,000 wildfires every year. Most of those are small, fortunately, under an acre, but occasionally we'll get a 5-acre fire, a 25-acre fire, and every couple, 3 years, we'll have a 300, 500-acre fire in Ohio. Largest fire we've had in Ohio was 3,000 acres. So those fires do get big, and it may not seem like a big deal, but every time there's a fire or an emergency of any kind, it takes folks to run out and take care of it. So mostly it's our volunteer fire departments that we work with and have cooperative agreements with in the southern and eastern part of the state where most of the forest resource is. And we work with them by agreement, and we provide them training for wildfire fighting, and they put the fires out. But often there's not many people available during the day. They're working or doing other things. They're called in. A couple folks on a small engine go out and have to get out on the ground usually and try to put the fires out. So if they need help, they'll call on the Division of Forestry, and we'll run out with 1 or 2 people and a bulldozer and put in a lot of fire line in a hurry. But generally, they're small fires, and we want folks to know what the fire laws are, so they're not out burning during the day when the humidity is low and the winds are higher, and those breezes are out moving the fire around. So
Okay.
in the evening, we have more humidity recovery generally at night, and it's a little bit safer.
Okay.
But you're
so-
still responsible for being with the fire, and if it gets away, you're responsible to answer to that as well.
Okay, so something for both really private landowners as well as, you know, anybody who's doing a campfire, any other kind
Right.
of fire lighting. And so the website was up there for a while, but we encourage folks to go to Division of Forestry's webpage.
Right, you can look at that and check out the fire laws. We have the ODNR rules, and we also feature the EPA rules too. One of the ones to keep in mind is there's no burning within 1,000 feet of an occupied structure. So that, you know, that's a law that needs folks to, you know, pay attention to that one as well.
Okay, so I know we don't have a ton of time left, Greg, but one thing I wanted to hit on really quickly is, so fire, we're talking about kind of preventing fires that we don't plan for,
Right.
but there are sometimes fires where we prescribe or specifically plan a burn. Do you think we'll be doing, what are your thoughts on that in Ohio this fall?
Okay, so we have, as part of our management plans for the year, we do have prescribed burning, and that's a resource management tool. We have found through studies in Ohio that some species of trees respond well to a fire environment. That is, burning in the forest, low-intensity fires within a certain parameter window of weather conditions, we can achieve a resource management goal. That is reducing competition to oak trees. And without going on a big detail, that is a tool that we can use. Whether we do it or not this fall is based on the weather patterns, and it's really dry right now, so we'll have to wait and see.
And see what opportunities arise. And certainly some of our viewers are familiar with, we've talked about kind of our concerns for oak in Ohio, and perhaps we can have you or somebody from the division come back in the future and talk about how we can better promote oak through fire.
Certainly.
And certainly some of our federal partners I know are also, the Forest Service is hoping to do some burning
Right.
this fall. So with that, I think that's all we have time for today, but Greg,
Okay.
we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
And hope our viewers can get out and enjoy some of the events that we've talked about.
Very good. Thank you,
Thanks.
Jamie.